Hello and welcome to All Villa No Filler, a podcast all about Aston Villa, genuinely the world's greatest football team. We've got to be now, surely. After seeing off Premier League champions Man City, we've only gone and knocked current league leaders Arsenal off the top of the table with another 1-0 win at Villa Park. Phenomenal. More on that in a sec. Plus, Frankie serves me up with another of his world-famous spicy questions. But first things first, Frankie, how are you? And have you come down off the ceiling yet?
George, I am dancing on the ceiling like Lionel Richie demanded we did many, many moons ago. I cannot believe what we are living through. I have spent my entire life believing, truly believing that Aston Villa could be more than what we are, right? I look at Liverpool, I look at Manchester United, and I look at all these teams in London and think, well, Aston Villa are the biggest team in Birmingham, right? Second biggest city in the country. Massive population, massive fan base. Why are Liverpool bigger than Villa? Why are Manchester United bigger than Villa? Why are apparently Newcastle bigger than Villa? Why are any London... There's no reason any of them should be where they are ahead of where Aston Villa are, right? No reason whatsoever. But we've always been patronised. We've always been ignored. We haven't never been given it, our fair due, I think. But in fairness, we've not lived up to what we should be. We've been terrible for a long time. George, we've just won 15 home games in a row. Do you remember Bill Goldberg in WCW wrestling when he went on the winning streak?
Sure do.
Who's next? Who's next?
Yeah.
This was when he beat Hulk Hogan at the Georgia Dome in 1998. I mean,
this is Taker at WrestleMania, isn't it?
Oh, this is the Undertaker's streak, and there's no Brock Lesnar turning up to ruin it for us. George, I'm almost at a loss for words. Like I have dared to dream that Villa could be more than what we've believed we are. I've said for such a long time, Atletico Madrid did it in Spain. Tottenham did it here. People laughed at them for years, but they went beyond that and competed for league titles and got into the Champions League regularly. Aston Villa right now have finally found that manager, the first manager since Ron Saunders walked out the door in 1982, the first manager since who truly has elevated us to a level where we are like, we're competitors. We are absolute competitors. And to go to Tottenham a week and a half ago and win 2-1 against, the media darling of Ange Ball FC, to then follow that up with a must-win game in Europe 4 days later with a win against Warsaw, another really good side, with their dickhead fans outside the stadium,
chucking mayo.
Chucking mayo, a second mayo bottles hit the Holt stand. 3 days later, we go to Bournemouth away, who, by the way, one of the most informed teams in the Premier League with Iraola.
Very impressive.
Go to Crystal Palace 3 days ago, win 1-0. Go to Manchester United, win 3-0. That 2-2 suddenly looks amazing.
Great point. Yeah.
And then you completely dominate and outclass Manchester City. Despite their various injuries, we dominated and outclassed a Pep Guardiola team. And then 3 days after that, all the physical exertion we've done, you're thinking, do we still have the energy to do it? And we play against probably the best team in England right now, Arsenal. And we, again, not only carry that form of the Man City game into the first 10 minutes to get that goal, but then follow that up with a classic Unai Emery defensive masterclass. I mean, to win 1-0, to beat City and Arsenal within 3 days. George, we are living the dream here. I had a dream, and it was that Aston Villa one day would be what I believe they could be. And Unai Emery is the man making that a reality. George, what did you make of the game?
Iconic. I have a dream. Yeah, well, I mean, as you say, Frankie, it is hard. It is hard to put into words. And I do feel maybe I am dreaming. Maybe this is a dream. Maybe the All Villa No Filler podcast is just a figment of my imagination. Maybe you don't exist. I don't know anymore.
As Notorious B.I.G. said, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
Word Up magazine, yeah. I used to read Smash Hits magazine.
I used to read Shoot magazine.
It just doesn't feel real. I've programmed myself in all my years of supporting Aston Villa to just accept that we are at best a mid-table Premier League side. So to see us now competing among the very best and beating the very best within hours, days of each other, it's just, I just can't really wrap my head around it, to be honest. It's brilliant. I mean, 2 1-0 wins, 2 very different 1-0 wins.
Yes.
As you said, against Man City, we were on the front foot the entire game. I think unlucky actually just to win that game by 1 goal. We should have scored 2 or 3. This game trickier, but perhaps expected given the huge physical, emotional exhaustion, effort that we put into beating Man City. To do that again and to play the way we did tonight. I mean, yes, we didn't have it, all our own way. Arsenal, as you say, they're in great form at the moment. They were top of the league for a reason because they go to teams and beat them and they win and they grind out results. I would say Arsenal this season they've scored a lot of late goals. Obviously, the goal against Luton, which won it for them before us, they've done that a few times this season. And there was a worry, obviously, towards the end with the Havertz VAR disallowed goal, which was correctly disallowed. Whether they might have managed to get an equaliser. But yeah, I mean, I was listening to Arteta's comments after the game where he was talking about things being clear and obvious. I just thought, just be humble. Just accept you came to the Villa and you got beaten and you lost to a team that dug in and were resolute and deserved to win the game.
Just you're not the best Basque manager in the world. There's another man.
It. Yeah. Except Unai is the Don Juan. Don Unai. The maestro.
Honestly, I saw a bus riding around here that had an advert for a film called The Maestro.
Yeah.
Right?
With Unai on it.
And I thought, well, Bradley Cooper starring it. I thought, it's just Bradley Cooper starring as Unai Emery. And Hollywood has done a whole year of Unai Emery at Aston Villa.
Well, listen, when we win the title, Frankie, Hollywood are going to have to try and think of a different title other than Maestro. I can't think of a better one. If they do a Hollywood film about, Villa winning the league title 23-24 season, who do you reckon would play some of the players? Do you reckon?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, we've got the best looking players in the world.
Well, exactly. I mean, they're Hollywoods. They look like Hollywood stars. They can play themselves.
The best looking players, the best looking coaches, the best looking podcasters. Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, maybe they could do like an indie film where it's 2 podcasters following a team that's always been a bit like underachieving and a bit rubbish, and then somehow they win the league, and it's the 2 of us, just like losing our minds, like a new age fever pitch. Instead of it being Arsenal, Nick Hornsby Arsenal, it'd be us 2 as Aston Villa. Maybe
a couple of loser podcasters that sort of like live their lives vicariously through the success of the club they support. I think that's it, isn't it? A couple of loser podcasters, but yeah, it's
special, George.
It is special. We're in multiple WhatsApp groups with multiple people who support multiple big clubs.
Yeah,
and for years and years we have to put up with Liverpool are going to win this and that, United are going to win this and that. Yeah. And you just think, when, if ever, will this happen to Villa? And yes, okay, listen, it's December. We're halfway through the season. The wheels could fall off. And this is the Villa fan talking that's experienced, this heartbreak for years and years. And it's hard to try and eradicate that feeling of pessimism when you've just endured it for many, many years. The wheels could fall off. But as of right now, this is as good a season, obviously. I mean, records of tumbling that I've ever
all the time
experienced. Watching them is a complete joy. I'm so invested in all the players. I follow them on social media. They're like mates. Like Frankie.
I'm in love with them.
They're just
I'm like a Swiftie. I'm like a Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Swiftie.
It's like Luca Dean just posted something. I'm all over that. Or Esri Concer's just posted a plus 3.
Is that a Sainsbury's in Sutton Coldfield? Look at my watch. I'm like, can I get there from London in like an hour, in 2 hours?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I think we have become the Villa equivalent of Swifties. We got to be down Villa Park for 2 hours after kickoff, 2 hours after the final whistle, hanging around the gates, waiting for Super John McGinn to come out to sign my forehead or something.
Have you seen his new nickname?
What? No.
Bravearse. I don't know where this came. I saw it on Twitter and I was like, Bravearse is amazing. He has got a Hadrian's Wall of an arse. Like nothing's getting past it.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the wall in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's just
the White Walkers
would struggle to get around that.
Even Jon Snow looks at that, and Jon Snow is just quivering behind John
Trembles.
McGinn's up. Nothing's getting past it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I
But-
mean, to serve on the wall, that would be that'd be impressive.
But George, like, it was just an incredible victory today. I mean, in the sense, it felt like the momentum from the Man City game carried over into this game in that first 10 minutes, where
for sure.
Arsenal made the mistake Man United did last season. And I think another team did it as well, maybe Brentford. But they basically changed ends at the start of the game, won the toss, and they're like, well, mate, Villa plays the whole one in the first half. And the thing is, that gets us rolled up and we score early. It just keeps happening. And we carried that momentum in from the City game into that first 10 minutes. And it was a repeat of what we saw. And George, I don't want to big myself up here, right? I don't want to say that I know what the hell I'm talking about all the time. But before the City game, I said that area with Leon Bailey on the right hand side for us going up against Gvardiol is probably the area we can get joy, and we got the goal through that. And then I followed it up the other day and I said, if Zinchenko's pulling forward, we can pull it into space, get it into that area because there's going to be space to run into, as we found last season against them. What do you know? Villa counter-attack from the back quickly forward. I think it came into Bailey, laid it back to Kamara, into Tielemans. Tielemans up to Bailey, and Bailey. You know, I've been trying to think of a Bob Marley song for him because I think Jamaica, you know, what a wonderful country that is. What a great artist Bailey and Bob Marley were. Don't worry about a thing because Leon Bailey's playing on the wing. Now, that was given to me, and I have to credit this to somebody else because I tried to come up with a Leon Bailey song the other day using a Bob Marley song. But I need to find exactly who the name was. It was Real Villa on YouTube. Real Villa gave that exact song to me, and I was blown away by it because I tried to do, No Woman, No Cry, but don't worry about a thing because Leon Bailey is running down the wing, playing on the wing. Leon Bailey's bombing down the wing. Whatever you want. It's a co-write. It's the Beatles. But look, Leon Bailey, fantastic work. Gets into there, runs at, I think it was Gabriel, or it was one of Saliba or Gabriel, whichever one it was. Intelligently pulled it back, and John McGinn, he worked that 1 second with his back to goal, his backside to goal, his Hadrian's wall of a booty to the goal, turns and finishes. Ben White loses him, and what a start. And you could, that cheering from the Villa fans, you just felt there's something happening here. And from that, Arsenal did take control of the game possession-wise, but they didn't take control of the game in the sense of chance-wise. It felt to me like this was a game where we've talked about Unai Emery before, where I think back to him when he managed Valencia. I think of Unai Emery as a manager before, where he was a bit more of a conservative, pragmatic manager. There was something of the Rafa Benitez about him. I think he's become a much more of an attack-minded manager. He's become a much more confident in taking it to opposition teams. For instance, I don't think he would have taken it to Man City the other night in the past in the way he did now with Villa. And I don't think he'd have taken it to Arsenal in the way he did in that first 10 minutes as he did in the past. I think he's evolved, and I think Villa are reaping the dividends of that. But after that, it felt like it became a bit more of a classic Unai Emery performance in that Villa soaked up that pressure and then just tried to hit them on the break. But you've got to give credit to Arsenal in their press. I mean, George, we could barely play out. And I think it was because their pressing structure was just target Pau Torres as fast as they could. And it just gave us no options to play out at all. And I think if we hadn't got that early goal, that would have been a very, very difficult game for us, George. But, fair play to Arsenal and their pressing from the front. But how many chances did Arsenal really create in that game? It suggests that Villa's defensive display with that high line, we caught them offside all the time. We didn't give them clear-cut chances, really. I mean, it was a brilliant display from Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. If we talk about individuals, McGinn got his goal, but again, he was leading the line like a proper captain. Again, two games on the bounce, Man City and Arsenal. Arguably our best player on the pitch in both games. Emi Martinez, the saves he had to make, he made. And I think for him, obviously, it's there is that personal thing. The fact, obviously, he used to play for Arsenal, but also the fact that The last game we lost at home was to Arsenal. We conceded that goal where it came off his back and went in. And, that was a really unfortunate defeat because, I thought we did enough in that game to get something out of it.
To win it. We could have won it.
Yeah, we could have won it. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's mad to think that was the last game we lost at Villa Park. I mean, Coutinho started that game, I think.
He scored.
He scored. Yeah. So it seems, that seems like a century ago. But yeah, win for him personally, and I think he did really, really well today. Stood up to the challenge. Just Concert again. Concert, just a phenomenal performance from him.
And
Carlos is really
hard day as well. You got a Mark Martinelli. That is hard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Digne, obviously we've got to say, Digne and Douglas Luiz are suspended for Brentford now, which is a concern. But then you say that our squad depth is really impressive. The fact that, against Brentford, we could bring on, Moreno, obviously slid in a left back. I've got no issue with him playing, obviously, against Brentford. Luiz may be slightly different. We might need to kind of change things around to accommodate his loss because he is a big loss. He's such a good. Yeah. I would say our best player this season, Luiz, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, back on tonight's performances, just again, you genuinely run out of superlatives for how well each individual player is performing. Watkins again leading the line. Didn't have much of a whiff of chances. Had a couple of strikes. I think in the second half he had a chance to score. Digne had a chance to score, didn't he, in the second half as well? Well saved by Raya. But they work so well. They click so well together. It's like if you play Football Manager, there's this kind of feature where like there are lines connected to players that shows that they're just linking well. That they fit well. We just fit so well. I think. You've got Pau Torres' passing ability at the back, but you've got Diego Carlos's physicality. You've got Konsa's bravery. They accommodate each other. Their skill sets work so well together in midfield. That kind of, you've got McGinn or Tielemans, inside left, inside right. You've got that lovely combination of Luiz and Kamara that complement each other so well. Up front, obviously, you've got Watkins leading the line as a really complete striker. It just fits brilliantly. The personalities, attributes, everything is going together so well. It's a joy. It's a joy, Frankie. It is the season for joy, and I'm feeling joyous right now.
I look out the window like Ebenezer Scrooge and look at kids and go, "You there? We're at Aston Villa in the league." And I'm like, "How? What do you mean with third in December, above 5 points ahead of Man City?" No. I mean, what? We're like 8 points ahead of Man United, 8 points ahead of Tottenham, 9 points ahead of Newcastle. I mean, this is absolutely extraordinary, George.
Yeah, I mean, what position to be in this time of the season? As you say, it's not like we're a couple of points ahead of these our competitors. We are light years ahead of them.
Yeah,
9 points on Newcastle, the team that beat us 5-1 at the start of the season.
And the thing is, like, you think about it, like. To our younger listeners, I think back to the past, and I think, my first season supporting Aston Villa, we came second in the Premier League, right? So I had a warped vision of what Aston Villa were going to be. I thought this is what Villa will always be. We compete with Man United to win the league, and then that didn't quite happen. But in the 90s, we were up there. We were fourth. We won the Coca-Cola Cup twice. So again, you're sort of thinking like Villa are a team who can compete at the top, like. Whatever. But we never pushed for the league. And then in 99, under John Gregory, we got to February and we were top of the league. And then I remember going to watch us play Blackburn at home at I was sat in the Trinity Road stand behind a big hole that was there in the old Trinity, and we lost 3-1. I remember watching David Dunn run in to score the third goal and thinking, oh. And as I walked home, I remember a Villa fan behind me going, bloody Man United would 8-1 at Nottingham Forest when Solskjaer came on and scored 4 goals as a substitute.
Right, yeah.
I remember that. And then Villa fell away. During the O'Neill era, again, I remember we were like top 2 until about February, and then again fell away. But I look at this team and I look at this manager, and I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't. I think the way we managed the game and the way we used our squad,
Yeah.
it's not
He
happening.
made a lot of managers criticised for making subs at the wrong times, not making the right subs, all the rest
Yeah,
of it. But Unai made exactly the right subs, exactly the right time to see
yeah.
that game out today.
Exactly. And I mean, I was sat there and I was going like, I think, maybe Bailey got a blow at half time, but Moussa Diaby comes on. I mean,
Yeah.
Moussa Diaby, with the quality of a player like that. And then you've got like Danonka came on, did a great job, I thought,
Yeah.
for Kamara. You've got Yonder Rand didn't even come on today.
Mhm.
Moreno comes on for Luca Dean.
Ramsey comes on.
Jacob Ramsey comes on. I mean, the quality of this squad at the moment. It's Diaby for Bailey. It's not Trezeguet for El Ghazi anymore, mate.
Yeah.
And as much as I love a Trezeguet and El Ghazi, I think they're slightly underrated players, but it's just different. It's just different. And the way we've managed, Emery's managed this stuff recently is off the charts. And today, like I say, I think Villa, naturally, because we scored that early goal, our tendency was to sit back a bit. I think we sat back a little bit too much from the start. I think we could have maybe gone a bit harder. But at the same time, we've played a lot of football. Arsenal have had 2 extra days rest than we did. They played on Tuesday, we play Wednesday.
Yeah.
We played Sunday, they played on the Saturday. So technically it's 2 games extra rest. And by the way, they didn't have to play Man City 3 days ago.
Yeah.
They had to play Luton away, which was a hard game for them. But I think I'd rather Luton than Man City. We came back and we did it. And tactically, we were just trying to hit them on the break. And a couple of occasions, Watkins had a shot in the second half. Luca Dean had a shot in the second half. We could have made it 2-0. And on top of that, if you think of Arsenal, you think clear-cut chances. The only real one I can think of, Odegaard in the first half, that Emi Martinez made an incredible save. And that's why, again, you say Emi Martinez is the best goalkeeper in the world because he makes saves like that. When you need a great player to dig you out of a hole that you've got yourself into, he pulls you out of it. Diego Carlos, 10 out of 10. Man of the match for me. Brilliant. I think Gabriel Jesus is waking up tonight doing jutting his shoulder up. His wife, girlfriend, his partner, whoever goes to hug him, and he juts up and he goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh God, I thought it was Diego Carlos," but it's not. It's not. Because he's going to walk down the street all the time looking over. It's going to be like The Shining. He'll walk around the Arsenal training ground just seeing the shadow of Diego Carlos everywhere he goes.
Pretty big shadow.
It was a phenomenal display from a player who was out for a year, and has come back and played 3 big games in a row. Amazing. Yeah. Every single player today deserves massive credit. Unai Emery deserves massive credit for the way he's managed his team, for the way he used those subs, and 15 wins in a row at home. 15 fecking wins in a row at home.
In 143 years of our existence, we've never done that. We're old, Frankie, but I don't remember. I don't remember when we were formed.
No. No. It's hazy in my memory. But in that time, we've beaten Brighton twice, including a 6-1. We've absolutely laid the smackdown on Man City. We've destroyed Newcastle 3-0. Newcastle, who at the time, by the way, were one of the most informed teams in world football, and we absolutely killed them in a way that no other team did last season. And then we've just gone and beaten the most informed team in England and in Arsenal. I think our next home game is Sheffield United. Knowing how the world works, that's probably the one.
They'll be our old athletic.
We score a goal and somehow VAR misses that it went over the line in payback, even though that didn't go over the line in my view.
And it'll be Cameron Archer that gets it.
Yeah. But look. Whatever happens going forward, this has been an incredible run. And
what a ride.
We have every single reason to believe that we are not only capable of getting the Champions League, but we're capable of winning the Premier League. Why not? Dare to believe.